height requirement to join, and second, how did the midget boy join? Derek Harris turned in my petition today. What should I expect next?
We are here. Just getting booted up, and then we'll get our asses moving.
My mic's gone.
Oh, I stole your mic. Son of a bitch.
Under the table.
Hold on. Yep. My bad. I stole your mic.
That guy, right?
Tap the end. Nope, the other one. Yep, that's it.
Yeah, you can hear that.
Yeah, I can hear the scratch with the weight guard.
All right. Where the hell?
Hello, everyone tuning in.
Hello, friends.
I'm here with Mr. Roboto today. Beep, boop, beep. All right,
Followers.
get over here to the wave pad.
Yeah, we got 3 new ones on Instagram, so
Beautiful. We'll just go with that.
do
That's fine.
those.
We'll just go with that. That's fine. Still got to put up our last episode with Salman.
Oh, it's not up there yet?
I haven't posted it yet. No, Christmas and everything else has been
Yep.
bananas. So,
Yeah.
all right, you ready,
Lives,
Mr.
too.
Ken?
I am.
I can't see you. I got to move this damn puppet.
Oh,
Back his ass up or something. There we go. Beautiful. I need eye
Right where
contact.
Joe would be.
Yep. Right where Joe would be.
Oop, I got to turn this
Beautiful.
freaking
All right.
notifications.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. 5, 4, 3, 2. Hello and welcome to the Freemasons podcast with your hosts, Right Worship Brother George Mudgery
And Worship Brother Ken.
No Joe.
Not tonight.
No Joe. He had some work stuff he had to do, so
It's okay. It's a busy season.
he
too.
lives.
Yeah.
But today's episode, we are on 164, which is we're just going to do Ask the Masons, part 2.
Yep.
We're going to do just basically if you have any questions, you fired in questions to us. We do get them quite frequently, so sometimes we just like to do a little general housekeeping. It's Ask the Masons. If you're watching live and you are not a Mason, this is more geared toward you. If you got questions about the fraternity, brotherhood, brothers, us, anything,
Yep.
now's your time.
Fire away.
You can fire right in the live chat, and we will answer your questions to the best of our ability. Always governing our actions and keeping secrecy, but we'll do our best.
Keep it on the square.
Try to, anyway. We're more like the round sometimes, though.
We do. We do all right.
Although I didn't know you were part of a band.
Am I?
Yeah, the Cardigans.
This isn't a cardigan, man. This is more of like a late 90s kind of like Nirvana grunge kind of sweater hoodie.
So you
Go with
just
that. Not a cardigan.
come as you are?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, okay.
Smells like Teen Spirit.
As you were.
Miss you, Kurt. It's too soon.
Oh, shit. All right, so we're going to get started. First thing we're going to do is we're going to cover I'm going to do the shameless plug for Joe in his absence.
Okay.
We have Patreon. I have revamped, and I'm going to be revamping probably tonight, the tiers. It used to be 3, 5, 7, 9, or 15 for Grandmaster tier. We're going to do away with all the tiers of Patreon. We're going to do one tier, one payment, $5. Join Patreon, get extra content, which I will be adding because I was trying to do it where each tier got different content.
Yes.
The more that you paid, you get more stuff.
Yeah, which is cool, but it's also
cool,
difficult to organize. And yeah. There's only 3 of us, well, 4 of us. You know, it's all around.
Delvady, he's a hot shit. He said he pilfered the grandma's closet with that sweater.
Grandma would not wear this sweater.
That's freaking
Far
great.
too edgy for Grandma.
So, yeah, I'm going to be fixing the Patreon thing. So it's going to be just a basic $5 payment. You get Discord, you get Patreon extra content. It's all going to be on one level, and you get to join the rest of the freaking hooligans.
And a gold tone Freemasons podcast pin.
Freemasons podcast pin. That is true. I haven't got a chance to talk to Rafferty's wife yet. Mrs. Rafferty is supposed to be making us bringing back the OG shirts.
Oh, okay.
So that's going to be happening relatively soon, probably in 2021.
The first run.
The very first shirt.
That was pre-Ken, too. So I don't have any of those shirts, so that'd be great to
you don't have an OG
have
shirt?
a crack at those. I have a Freemasons podcast. The first shirt I got was a Freemasons podcast crew shirt, which was super cool. But that was after the the polar bear shirt and the mountain and the molehill and all those classics.
So we're going to be bringing that one back. I just got to talk to her about price and all that stuff, and then we're going to bring back the OG shirts. But let's go through some likes. What do we got here, Ken?
On Instagram, we have Gary Fuller, Jose Gaspar, and Christopher Thornton.
Very nice. And on YouTube, we have some new people, and we'll go through it. Let's see here. Deep 15, did I cover it? Yep. Ronald Fregro, I believe is how you say it. Chuck Bryant. And today, 5 hours ago, Scott Sherman. So shout out to him.
Cool. Thank you, friends and brothers.
So, brother, right hand arms.
2 arms.
Ready.
Aim.
Fire, good fire, fire all. Together, brother.
Vivat, vivat, vivat. I forgot I had a phone in my hand.
Yeah.
Hard to clap when you have a phone
Hard
in
to
your
do
hand.
that. So today we're going to be doing Masonic questions. Ask the Masons. So if you are a non-Mason, now's your time. If you are a Mason, it's also your time. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, cover, or discuss, please do.
Yep. Appendant bodies, what we
Mhm.
like to do, in our spare time.
I hope everybody had a Merry Christmas. We have a new year coming up. Hopefully it's a little bit better than the last one.
I think it will be. You can't really go any further down the old drain than we did in 2020.
And I have to apologize for Sunday. Right after I obviously come off of being on workman's comp and being hurt.
Something else was going down the drain.
Yeah, something else was going down the drain. It was my ass, basically. I had a stomach bug or something, and I was not about to come up here and give the gift that keeps on giving. So.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Yeah, I thought it'd be nice enough.
Yeah.
Somebody shit on the coats.
What?
Dane Cook. You never seen that?
No.
Oh, God. Watch him.
You keep trying to get me to watch Dane Cook gigs, but
anyway.
someday.
So let's get into it. You had a question. Where's your first one?
Well, we had one come in from Derek Harris on Facebook just before I came up here, and he asked, turned in my petition today. What should I expect next? And I know we've covered this on prior episodes, but it's always good to do a little refresher from our experience.
All right. Well, prior to COVID,
yeah,
I want to be clear about that. What's been going on with COVID and this year is just a cluster bleep.
Yeah.
But what you can expect is the very first thing that's going to happen is, every lodge is different. I'll be clear about this. Every lodge is different. Usually the first thing that happens is you turn in your petition. If you haven't, depending on how you turn in your petition, if it was by electronic membership request, you'll be getting a call from the secretary and or master and or who's ever in charge of the petition receiving, I guess you can say. It's not the investigation committee,
right? It varies from jurisdiction to jurisdiction.
Right.
So we have a membership committee in most lodges and in the Grand Lodge here in Connecticut. So we have like a little way of coordinating those, electronic kind of through the website requests that we get.
Right. And that's probably a good idea. Most of the time I screen them when I was the secretary. Well, I'm going to be done.
The EMR coordinator.
I was the EMR coordinator, or even any petition, even if it was handed to me via another brother. The first person he'd talk to would be me, Perry, whoever the master was.
Yep.
Excuse me. And by the way, we're drinking what is this shit? Apple pie moonshine from Midnight Moon.
It just
should be
says
getting some freaking sponsors for this shit. The amount of alcohol we drink.
We really should. Midnight Moon moonshine. I've never heard of this particular brand before, but it's very good, especially when you microwave it for about 30 seconds.
Yeah, right.
It tastes like wassail.
I told you.
Yeah.
I told you.
Well, I'm a convert now. I'm liking it.
But first thing that should happen would be your petition would go to whoever this membership committee or secretary or who's ever in charge of it. They ended up meeting with you. Most of the time, they'll either take you to lodge, have you sit down, do a dinner before the lodge meeting. Then they'll tell you, all right, get the hell out of here. Just as a way to get to know you and all that stuff. Recommend strongly that if you are going to show up to meet the brothers for dinner and break bread before they go to lodge when you're petitioning, dress nicely.
Yeah.
don't show up looking like a smash bag of ass. It's not a good impression.
I mean, there are some lodges out there that are, kind of like farm or rural type lodges.
Yeah, true,
they're a little bit more dressed down.
True.
In most lodges, it's pretty good to assume that it's jacket and tie.
Yeah, right.
So
most lodges, yes, jacket and tie. I know some of them are tuxedo, but you don't got to do that because you're not a member yet. Like Washington 19 is their tuxedo all the time
for all members.
I think Joe is only officers are tuxedo.
Yeah, and our lodge does it that way.
Oh, same thing.
Here at Morningstar, it's done that way. So,
that's for degrees.
For degree nights.
I'm talking about even a stated meeting.
Yeah, they're
tuxedo.
all. Yeah.
It's Washington 19. Shout out to them in Monroe.
Yeah, man, it's always.
But they're always tuxedo. So don't be off put by the fact that they're all in tuxedos and you're not. But I mean, jacket and tie, I think, is customary, standard, kind of middle of the road.
Yeah,
shows that you're involved, shows that you want to participate.
Treat it like a job interview.
Exactly.
Kind of what it is.
Base point. Perfect. Yeah, perfect. And then what's going to happen after that is after they meet you, maybe once, maybe twice, maybe 3 times. Who knows? Depends on the lodge. Every lodge is different. They're all governed by the master and the brethren. Not every lodge is the same. Petitioning to Morningstar Lodge is a little bit different than petitioning to, say, Harmony 42 or Ashlar Aspetuck or any of the other lodges. They all have their own little
states' rights.
States' rights, lodge rights.
Yeah, I mean that's what the Constitution. Well, not the Constitution, but the governmental system in the United States was modeled after that. Right, Washington felt very strongly, and states governing themselves, and lodges are set up the same way here in our jurisdiction, anyway.
Correct. So then after that, you can expect that you'll get a call back, and they're going to set up an investigation committee. You're going to meet with a committee of 3. It will be 3, roughly. Every investigation committee is different, but usually it's standard 3. Masons will come out. They'll meet you. Usually they like to meet in your home. Because they like to meet your family. They want to, get to know your home life.
Yeah, and set the petitioner at ease too, right? You tend to be more comfortable in your own home rather than, hey, come down to our lodge that you've never been to before and meet a bunch of people you've never met. Yeah, it's
and then basically what's going to happen after that, the investigation committee is going to go back to the lodge. They're going to tell the lodge whether they found you favorable or unfavorable. Then they vote. And if you've ever heard the term getting blackballed, that's where it comes from, the Mason Lodge, because one blackball will end your Masonic career. Does it happen? Sure. Does it happen frequently?
Not really.
No, not really.
Not in my experience.
No, I don't think so. So, then that's it. Then at some point they'll call you up and they'll tell you you've been accepted, and they will schedule your very first degree, and then your journey begins.
Yep. So as you've already turned in your petition, I already forgot the first name of the individual. I think it was Derek.
Derek, yes.
Since you've already submitted your petition, the next thing you could expect is, and right now, with the holidays and everything, a lot of lodges kind of go dim for, at least between Christmas and New Year's because, everybody's got a lot going on, including all the officers of the lodge. But I would think within a week or so, you'll probably get a phone call, most likely from the secretary or the master or whoever's in charge of the investigating committee. And then they'll set up an appointment with you. And, usually they will give you the choice as to where you want to meet with these gentlemen. And it's, kind of a 2-way interview, right? Like we're making sure that you're right for Masonry and you're making sure that the lodge is right for you. So make sure that you keep that in mind. It's not a grill session.
No.
And it's not all one-sided.
What do you mean it's not a grill session?
It's not a grill session,
putting
the light over them and
where were you the night of? While we're on that subject, if there is a delay, I'm sorry, my nose is like, you got a cat up here or something?
I don't think so. Where's the cats?
It's that mothballs in that sweater.
Yeah, I was gonna say maybe I have 2 cats at home. Maybe they like rolled around in this shit before I put it on. I don't know. Sorry, bro.
Just say it. Maybe you were like Chevy Chase up there in the attic during like Christmas vacation. Remember he's going through all the old clothes. In the box?
Yeah.
Just wondering if that's where you dug that sweater out of.
No, it's not where I got the sweater from.
At some point you're gonna have to fire back at me, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm biding my time.
All joking aside, though, I want to also let's talk about that the lodge action. So if you don't hear a call back from your lodge within the week, 2 weeks, sometimes 3 weeks, just understand that there are a lot of things that will stop a lodge or slow a lodge down from responding back to you. One of which is in the summertime, most lodges go dark. I won't say all. Most lodges go dark for the months of July and August. Why?
Yep.
It's usually too goddamn hot.
Yeah.
2, most Masons, that's usually when people go on vacation.
Yeah.
And then 3 is just nobody's at lodge. If your petition was left at the secretary's desk in the lodge or whatever the case may be,
or it got mailed to the lodge,
yep. They might not get their mail. So just be aware of that around those 2 months, there's probably not going to be much action on you. They should call you. But who knows?
Yeah, and this is a busy time of year.
Correct.
And COVID and
COVID's the wrench in all this bullshit. But the second time is going to be in your months of November, not so much November, maybe a little bit, but December and January. And I'll say why. Because that's usually when you have your election of officers, annual communications. So if you're waiting for your entered apprentice degree or your next degree to move into fellow craft or master mason, probably ain't going to happen in December or January.
Yeah, there's a lot of lodge related business type stuff that needs to happen around that time. Yeah.
Right. So you have your annual communication or your election of officers usually takes place in end of November, December, right?
Yep.
You said. And then January, you have your installation of officers, which is a big ceremony, public ceremony. Well, who the hell knows this year? But there's going to be a lot of things going on that you don't know about. So I just want to fill everybody, who is petitioning or listening to this podcast who said, "Oh, I put in my petition and I didn't get a call back." And freaking sent it in the beginning of December.
Don't get worried.
Don't get worried.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yep.
Because there's a lot of our elections are going on.
Yep.
There's a changing of the guard, a lot of, and I don't want to sound cruel about this, but I mean, December for me has always been landing gear down, landing mode.
Yeah.
Most masters at that time they're just riding out the last month of their mastership
or trying to get all of the remaining stuff that they wanted to get done for the year done. I mean, that tends to be the cram session.
I just found that it's lame duck session.
Not all masters are like that. Some actually get all their stuff done. I wasn't.
I served 2 years, so that's why.
Yeah.
At the end of the second year, my freaking landing gear was down.
Burnt out. Yeah. We're also the last bastion of gentlemanliness in the world. Masonry is. I've always felt that way. So. One way or another, even if it's taking them a little while, they will get back to you, right? Correct. And when you put your petition in, they're not going to call you and say, sorry, the next step is they're going to do an investigation, right? So you're really just kind of waiting until they can put an appointment together and get a few Masons to come out and meet with you. So it's nothing to worry about if it takes a little while.
Right. Those are the 2 months that I know of that are, maybe I guess you can argue whenever Grand Lodge. I mean, I know every Grand Lodge has their sessions at different times,
right? Yeah.
But maybe one can also argue around Grand Lodge sessions.
Yeah.
Usually that's I wouldn't say so much the semi-annual, but the annual
Yeah, there's always a handful of Masons from every lodge that have something to do with a Grand Lodge committee or our district deputies or something like that, right? So they're either around the time that those sessions happen, they have a job to do too. So that can take up some time.
Yeah, those usually it's the top officers have to go to the Grand Lodge and sit there through half a day of introductions. And
you're making it sound so bad. I actually enjoy the pomp and circumstance at Grand Lodge sessions. I'm one of the few I know, but I always, it makes you feel like you're part of something bigger than just your local lodge. Okay. I always thought that made me feel good.
Please don't take it this wrong way. I'm not shitting on Masonry or anything, but I freaking hated it.
I think it would be really silly if we were doing a podcast about Masonry and crapping on it.
But you know what, though? Let's be honest. We have to be honest to the listeners, right? You can't sit here and sugarcoat shit. I hated the Grand Lodge session from the minute I became a junior warden right up past when I was done with district deputy. It sucked. I like the semi-annual because it's straight, quick, to the point. Mm-hmm. I know we're getting off, so we'll get back into the question and everything. But it's straight. I like semi-annual because it's straight, quick, and to the point. It's a half a day session.
Yep.
You show up, you vote on your legislation, you pick your slate of Grand Lodge officers, and then 12 o'clock, you're out. You leave, right? Annual communication to me is just, it's literally a half a day. At least this is, I know every Grand Lodge session is different, but I just want to be. Our Grand Lodge session is literally a half a day
You're talking about the one in April
of
in our
freaking
jurisdiction?
introductions.
Yeah.
Introducing this person, and they get up and go
Yeah.
talk, and then introducing that person, and then they get up and talk.
Yeah.
And by the end of the freaking night, I have the muzzle of my.
No.
It's like, to me, I'm not a very pat me on the back, look at me, type person.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's because it's not about you, so that's why
Right.
so much. It's like, oh,
That's
this is about somebody else. Oh,
Uh,
that guy. But you know what? They also did that like pre-COVID. They also did the hospitality suites, and they had like the big dinner, and there was always a dinner for like, past district deputies luncheon, and then there would be like the big dinner with the Grand Master or the incoming Grand Master, and there'd be the hospitality suites the nights before, right?
Those are cool. That's fun. So
that
you go to
was
the
always a lot
hospitality
of fun.
suite. Everybody's
District
up there.
3, oh man, District 3
Yes.
hospitality suite was always a lot of
Margarita
fun.
maker, the margarita machine,
Yep.
everything. That was,
And you network with more Masons around the state at
Yeah.
those things, I think, than just going to the session itself.
Correct. So let me say, I enjoy that part, the build up to it, the hotel room, going from one room to the other, hospitality,
seeing guys that you haven't seen for a year,
shit, having a couple of drinks, maybe smoke a cigar. That to me is fun.
Mhm.
I enjoy that part of Grand Lodge session weekend, if you want to call it a weekend.
Yeah, it's
Sunday into Monday, right?
2 or 3 days. Yeah.
Right. I enjoy that part of it.
Yep.
I do not like the morning of Grand Lodge.
Yeah. Well, it's always a rough day to get up to if you've been out at the hospitality suites the night before.
And I'm sorry, they have to have a better way of checking in Masons, right? I think they should do something electronically, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So the back of our dues cards now have the barcode. They should have something where you could just go.
Do they?
Bloop. Yeah.
Oh wait, yeah, they do. Yeah. Okay.
So you could just bloop, scan them in. Because
Yeah.
I'm sorry, standing in that freaking cattle line, just herding to the desk.
Yeah, but you know what? It's also it's about the process too, because like they're looking at you in the face while they're checking your dues card and everything, and there's something about that versus just like scanning a barcode thing as you're walking in.
Okay, so
that makes it feel like
about the personable part.
Yeah, that makes it feel like
Fair enough.
it's a security kind of thing too. And it makes it feel a little bit more legitimate because you can fake barcodes, and I don't know if you've got a human being that's standing there and kind of like.
Next question then.
Okay.
Do you think we can possibly get maybe, I don't know, maybe like the nightclub bracelets so that the Tyler doesn't have to stop me every 5 minutes when I walk in and out to take a piss?
Yeah, or like
to check my dues card.
Stamp your hand with
when you've already seen my dues card 15 times, but you still need me to pull it out of my wallet.
Well,
like,
he's going to check like 150 people,
just
or
give me the glowy
300
bracelet.
people. Like you don't
Give me
recognize those same faces over and over again, especially you because you're like below eye level. I've seen all the associate Grand Tylers, man. Like these dudes are like 6 feet and up.
All right.
So,
all right. I see what you're doing.
you look different from up there.
I took my shots about your cardigan, so I'll just.
I'm doing the best I can. I'm
You're
not
doing all right,
particularly good at busting balls.
You're
but,
doing all right. You're doing all right.
Anyway,
so Grand Lodge recovered. Let's move on to the next question. What else you got? You said you had another one?
let's see. That was pretty much the only one that came in advance on Facebook, but let's see if we've got anything on the YouTube feed here. Well, oh, nope. Everybody's just busting my balls. Okay.
All right. I got one.
All right.
This is from Donnie95. Hey, if I haven't give you a shout out, thanks for commenting on here. But he says, hey, dudes, loving the podcast. You should do an episode where you discuss what you as individuals think is the most respected or most controversial branch of Freemasonry.
Wow, that's a good one.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, Ken, lead it off.
I'll
let you shoot yourself in the foot.
All right. The most. What was the first adjective?
The first part of it was, what do you think is the most respected and the most controversial?
The most respected body in Masonry. I'd have to say that that's a tough one. It really depends on who you are and who the audience is. I think the Shriners are known the best worldwide.
Okay.
I would think, just because of the charities that they're involved in. Obviously, the Shriners hospitals for children are a huge deal, and everybody kind of knows that. And everybody's been to a parade and kind of knows the guys with the funny hats, and there's references to guys in red fezzes and pop culture and stuff. So I think they're probably the most well known. Respected, though, tough one, man. Maybe Scottish Rite.
Okay.
I mean, if you're already a Mason, you know what Masonry is. I would think,
Right.
like, if you're looking at appendant bodies and saying, "Oh, what's the one that has the most respect?" Scottish Rite, I guess.
I think.
I'm not a Scottish Rite Mason either.
You got more? Or?
No.
Okay, I didn't know if you had.
Well, there was a second part to the question, but I'll let you.
Oh no. Oh, do you want to break it up like that? Then we'll just the most respected, and then we'll work on the controversial.
Yeah.
Because
all right. Fair enough.
That I think is going to be a lot heavier. So I would have to say, Dunny, I would have to say that I think the most respected, in my opinion, if you're looking at it at face value. So let's say I know nothing about Freemasonry. I'm just a guy who knows that Freemasons exist, and I'm just kind of looking over Masonry as a whole, right? Because that's what most people do, right? They look at Masonry as a whole, and I think the most respected, I would have to say, would be your Scottish Rite. And the reason being is because everybody sees 33rd, 32nd of Freemasonry, and they're like, oh, that guy's a 33rd.
Yeah, and without
they
even
see
really
the big ass temple in DC, and they see all that. So if I had to say that's what I believe is perceived as the most respected.
Okay.
And me as a Mason, I guess I would answer that differently though, because I respect all Masons. So that's more of a personal question of what branch of Masonry do I like the best, or what body. And realistically, they all have their positives. They all have their negatives. I mean, if we're going to be honest, some of them have negatives.
Yep.
Again, I've said it before, and again, I'm not shitting on Scottish Rite, but I don't like the play format. I actually like going through the degrees and
participatory,
being part of it. So if I had to say that at face value, by the outside public, I would say that the most respected would be your 33rd degree Scottish Rite. Or excuse me, the Scottish Rite as a whole, because again, they got the big ass temple in DC. They're very much, out in the forefront. They're because again, we know that the top degree that you could ever earn in Freemasonry is the
third degree.
Third degree. That's it. Third degree of Master Mason, basic Blue Lodge Freemasonry is considered a top degree. But the outside person doesn't know that.
Yeah.
And according to Alex Jones, there's 360 of them. No, there's not.
And the higher the number, the better.
Right.
No, that makes sense.
What kind of hole is it? What the hell does that mean? Joseph Schultz. Oh, I get it. Because I keep saying Masonry as a whole. All right.
Oh, I get it.
All right.
Not laughing, but I get it.
Yeah, I know what he's doing. So let's move on to the next part. What is the most controversial branch of Freemasonry? I feel like we're going to be on the same page.
Yeah, I think we are too. Again, it really depends on who we're asking and who the audience is. But if you're a Mason, you know at least a little bit about each of the appendant bodies, or if you're a member of this particular order, I would have to say Commandery of Knights Templar.
Okay. Right. Nope, we were not on the same page.
Really?
No, we were not.
Oh, okay. This is going to be good. We'll do you now. What?
Okay. Why would you say that the order, the commandery orders are the most controversial?
Well, I would only say because that third, the third order, the Order of the Temple, contains a lot of subject matter, and I'm not going to go through what it is, but if you've been through it, you know what I'm talking about. Like it kind of has
Jesus,
right? It has connotations that, if you take them out of context, you would look at it and like Alex Jones would probably be all over it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I see when I see controversial. I see, the most.
Or cancer culture would be all over it.
Cancel culture. Yeah.
Because of it's a Christian based. Let's be real. It's Christian based.
Right. And
they ask, in a sense, that you take up arms to defend the Christian religion or prefer the Christian religion.
Right.
Is it controversial?
I mean,
I would say yes right now, because there's no other. And again, we talked to Solomon the other day.
Mm-hmm.
He's a brother, and one of the things I brought up is there should be a Muslim
themed or an Islamic pendant body Islamic or degree. Yeah.
And I just want to be clear that even though you. There's nothing barring somebody from taking the Order of the Temple.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing saying that you just understand that it's very, very cloaked and Christendom. Like it's got Christian symbols all over the degree.
Yeah. And
so if you can see past that and just look at the lesson of it as a whole,
right.
Sure.
And we talked about that. Like
Right.
there are a lot of things that are common to all of the world's religions, and there's nothing that's like so, Christianity centric about that order that I can think of that somebody would just be like, oh, this is completely counter to what my belief system says.
Yeah, no, it's not telling you to go freaking chase down Saracens and stuff like that. It's not like that. It's the lessons are based around Jesus, and that's. I mean, I don't want to go too much deep into it, but it's based around how, in a sense, he lived. Is how you should emulate yourself.
And the Commandery of Knights Templar is obviously based on Templary, so there's going to be allusions to the Crusades and stuff like that, but it never talks specifically about like this religion is the only religion, and everyone else, all the other infidels should no longer exist, because like that's not how it's structured. But an outsider might see it that way,
of course. Especially when you take the order.
Yes, it's a participatory degree.
But I'll tell you what, very powerful.
Yeah,
I would have to say my favorite degree in all of Freemasonry.
Yep, I love seeing that one. I love participating in that one. I love doing the ritual.
I've done the commander part. That's fun.
Yeah.
You want to talk
I
about?
think pretty much all of the parts in the Order of the Temple are good parts. Like there's no.
The commander's part is very lengthy.
Yeah.
I would have to say more lengthy than the. I would have to say more lengthy than even the being the master for the Master Mason degree. For beginning and end. There's a lot more speaking, a lot more moving, a lot more pausing, a lot more things that are going on in between, a lot more break scenes, if you will. So it's
cut scenes.
Ben Blumenthal. It has to do with swearing on the Christian faith in the
iconography.
Thank you.
Yep.
Associated with commandery, something us Jews are barred from doing according to our theology. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So sometimes it's about what your religion
says. It's about your religion, and again, it's not like if you were. Then actually, I know of a couple of Jewish brothers who took the Order of the Temple.
Yes, I know that. I know of a couple too.
Yeah, there's nothing barring them from doing it. It's your personal preference, and that's totally fine. I know of another brother who went all the way up through the York Rite and stopped dead at commandery, because I mean he probably could have taken the first two orders, because they're not really based in Christianity. They're more based of
it's more,
first one is Zerubbabel.
Yeah, it's more Old Testament.
And then the second one is the Knights of Malta. Yep. Knights of St. John's, whatever it tells their saga.
Yep.
Which the long form is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went all the way up through York Rite and took all the way up to commandery, and he stopped where he said, I can't do this anymore because I'm Jewish. Okay. And there was no shame on it. That's awesome.
Yep.
And some of those degrees of the York Rite were still pretty goddamn powerful.
I mean, the imagery and the ritual in those degrees and orders is powerful no matter who you are.
If you really think about it, the York Rite is based almost in Jewish Torah or whatever. Well, right up until commandery.
Yeah,
that's the only place where it breaks.
Yeah, the storyline is basically it kind of follows early on anyway along the same lines as the first 3 degrees of Masonry, where we're talking kind of Old Testament tradition, and I mean building a King Solomon's temple. And
I think York Rite picks up after Hiram died.
Yeah. Yep.
So it kind of continues with that story.
Yep. Chapter and council. Yeah.
And then commandery just takes a freaking hard left turn.
Yeah.
So I had a different one.
Okay. Yeah. Let's hear this.
I was actually going to say the most controversial would be the widow's sons. I would say that because
the widow's sons in particular, or any Masonic motorcycle
group, but I would say particularly the widow's sons, because I would have to say they're probably the more famous of them all.
Yeah,
the more popular.
Well-known, yeah.
I would say they're controversial not because there's anything wrong with it. I think it's freaking great. Yeah. I think Masonry should change its image whenever it can, or add to its image whenever it can.
Oh, yeah. We got some good friends in the widow's
sons. We absolutely do.
Yep.
Shout out to the Paladins.
Yeah.
But I was going to say they I think they're controversial because they're not understood. And when you see, I mean, your snap judgment is you see a bunch of dudes riding by on a motorcycle.
Yeah, you don't even know if they're Masonic or not.
With the same colors as the Proud Boys. Nothing wrong with, whatever. We can get into that all day long, but
no, we can't.
No, we can't. But I'm just saying, though, like people see this to the outside eye and they're like, oh my God. And they start wigging the fuck out.
If we're talking about like, some member of the profane world, somebody who knows nothing about
that's what I'm talking about, the profane world.
Right. So you just see a motorcycle rider maybe, and maybe you have some preconceived notions about who wears a cut.
1%.
Yeah. And, who rides around in a group with other folks on a motorcycle. But on the back, on that patch, you see the all-seeing eye. You see some Masonic.
Right. I'm
going to use worshipful brother Ben Blumenthal's term here, iconography.
Right.
Right. And maybe that, if you're the Alex Jones adherent type member of the profane world, and you see that, maybe you think, wow, this is pure evil riding by me.
Right. And realistically, now you take that imagery of, well, these are biker gangs, because that's what they call it. They don't call them motorcycle clubs. Most people think biker gang, right? What'd you have to say?
Yeah, I mean,
you take that and
some people assume the worst about everyone that they encounter. Yeah.
Of course. Now you take that and you intermix it with Freemasonry. It could potentially give a bad. Hey, HR, how you doing? It could potentially give a bad image, if you will, to Freemasonry, which makes it controversial because Grand Lodges will instantly clamp that shit down. Does it make it right? No, because you're making a snap judgment about something you don't know about. But I would have to say there's your controversy.
And they're not really under the jurisdiction of Grand Lodge as a club. Like, obviously they're Masons, and because you're a Mason, you're under the jurisdiction of your local Masonic jurisdiction, but it's not an appendant body.
Right.
So that changes things in some people's opinions as well.
That's a good
point. Oh, man.
Keep your opinions and formulate them around actually meeting somebody.
Yeah, exactly. I would highly recommend not judging a book by its cover when it comes to the widow's sons. I know a lot of good brothers that would, take a bullet for you, get the shirt off their back for you. So yeah, don't judge.
Yeah. I mean, you could probably take a bullet with that freaking.
Shut up, dude. You can't even.
What is that, level 3 body armor?
It's a plate carrier sweater vest.
Except it doesn't repel bullets. Just
I love
women.
I love
just women.
My wife loves this shirt.
That's why she let you leave the house wearing it.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, nobody's going to take a pass at my husband when he's wearing that nonsense. I love how everybody that's commenting on the YouTube live feed right now, like HR just showed up and everybody's like, oh no, and like groaning and stuff. Oh, it's great. This is great.
I wish I should have gotten you something. If I had known that you were going to be wearing that jacket, I would have gotten you a red hat.
Why?
Where's Waldo?
Oh, I get it. You know what? Not for nothing. Even though nobody can find that MFer, he's a snappy dresser, I gotta say. He knows how to wear a cardigan.
You've perfected blended into walls and hiding amongst crowds.
Yeah, I really shouldn't wear white.
You're like a ninja. James Levaney, Shriners are the most controversial, with all the issues in southern states refusing to toss out MMs that are not members in good standing, even trying to have members that are not Masons.
Let's unpack that. So, he's talking about the fact that
Forever 21. Holy shit!
That might be where this shirt came from. Now, this shirt actually came from Old Navy. I can tell you for a fact. I bought this in one of those retro NASA t-shirts, and I bought this because I thought it went well together. I'm like, look at me putting outfits together, and that was the last time I ever did that because now everybody makes fun of me. Whatever.
Oh shit!
Stop picking on Ken. He looks stylish. Thank you.
For Thank you, HR. The geriatrics ward, or
shut up. So can we talk about the Shriners thing?
Yes,
Right.
I'm sorry.
So I think what Brother Jim Devaney might be talking about is the fact that I think there was a little bit of controversy several years back, and I might be getting this wrong, Brother Jim. So please, correct me if I'm quoting this wrong. But I think what happened was members or the governing body of Shriners said that you don't necessarily have to be a Mason in good standing to be a Shriner anymore. It was something like
No,
that.
I thought they were trying to like open up the Shriners to non-Masons, where they were trying to something along those lines. I remember kind of vaguely hearing this, where they were going to open up to non-Masons,
or
Masons,
they were talking about it, or considering it at the ceremony.
Masons flipped out or something like that.
I remember there were some. There are a lot of kind of social clubs too that spin off of the different appendant bodies, and there were a couple social orders that spun off of the Shrine, and there was one that was talking about opening up its membership to non-Masons, and that caused a lot of controversy.
Right.
But I think this was different. I think this was more at like a national level or a jurisdictional level.
I mean,
he's still, busting on me instead of responding and clarifying.
And HR is taking her shots at me.
Yeah.
We're shopping the toddler section. Yeah.
At
least they don't sell that sweater in the toddler section. That's all I gotta say to that.
Ken's wife marked him with a sweater. It screams, "Hands off, ladies." Oh God. Yep. This is rough, man. I liked it better when Joe's here and he tracks the YouTube comments, so I can just sit here and be blissfully unaware of like how I'm getting freaking lit up. A cold beer to put out these flames.
That's pretty funny. So here's the thing. I don't think that the Shriners have to report to Grand Lodge, correct? Like appending bodies don't have to report back to, or they're their own separate bodies, right? They don't have any.
They don't report back, but they're recognized by the Grand Lodge.
Okay.
Right. So when you, we talked about the semi-annual and the annual communications of Grand Lodge, and all those introductions. Most of them have to do with different leaders of the various appendant bodies being recognized, right? So,
but it's not like somebody can infiltrate Blue Lodge Masonry via the Shriners. Right. So even if you had, Shriners are a separate appending body.
Oh, yeah.
They have their own governing power and everything.
You don't have any special votes at Grand Lodge or anything because you're a Shriner.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Like, so what difference does it make if, at least in my opinion, if a non-Mason became a Shriner with Masons who are Shriners? Like, what's the difference? Isn't it all going to charity? It's not like those non-Masons who are joining the Shriners are going to be able to backdoor and get into a Blue Lodge.
No, right? But I think it's more tradition, right? It's the fact that a Masonic appendant body is by definition, and there are no exceptions to that rule that I know of throughout history. You have to be a Blue Lodge Mason in order to be a member of these groups.
Okay.
Otherwise, they're not Masonic appendant bodies. They're just, it's like the Elks or,
But Shriners don't use anything that's Masonic.
They don't have to, though. It's a Masonic appendant body. It spun out of Freemasonry. Masons started it. The original, original charter of that group says that you have to be a Blue Lodge Mason in good standing to be a member of it. Although Jim Devaney did note that, I'm not going to go into detail here, but there were some shrines where Masons were thrown out, or Masons were, I'm sorry, I'm dropping the word. I can't remember what the name of what the phrase is for when we...
Probably for wearing Old Navy sweaters.
Expulsion, right? So there were Masons that were expelled from the fraternity, but the Shrine did not remove them from the rolls.
Right.
So that was what all that controversy was about.
Yeah, he also said it came down to membership numbers and money took priority over the tenets of Masonry. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions, and we all know how opinions work.
Yeah, but that's,
they're like sweaters. Some of them are ugly.
Yeah. There are concerns like that in every appendant body, like every group. I've heard those same kind of complaints from different people about different orders, but still, right. I mean, it's...
Oh, Devaney also right. The Shriners also wanted to backdoor into Blue Lodge.
I don't know what that means.
Circumvent Blue Lodge. So rather than having to go through Blue Lodge to become a Shriner, to bring in members, I can kind of empathize with this. And the reason why I'll say this is because you look at the York Rite. Do you know how long it takes to become a Knight Templar?
If you start from ground zero, you'd have to.
And then they wonder why the numbers are shrinking at the top. Come on, no?
Well, it takes at least 3 months in most cases to become a Master Mason.
Yeah.
And then you have to go through all the chapter and council.
It took me a freaking year.
Yeah, it took me over a year to go all the way through York Rite.
And that was just for York.
That's not counting Blue Lodge. Usually 3 months is the short side of.
And understand that
3 degrees.
Chapter, council, and commandery are three separate. There are 3 separate. What's the word I'm looking for? God damn it!
Well, 3 separate bodies. Yeah,
within one.
Yep.
Right. So
it's like 3 separate lodges.
So you have to wait for a chapter. Well, you have to wait for you to be, elected. Or chosen, in chapter. Then when you're done with chapter, you have to wait for council to accept you. Then after council, you have to wait to commandery to accept you.
It's been a while since I went through all those bodies, but do you have to get investigated each time? Like when you finish
You're supposed to?
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't, though, because I'll tell you what, a lot of chapters, councils, and commanderies are freaking hurting for membership.
Yeah, and also
why? Because it's a 1.5-year process just to get all the way up to commander. Understand, a lot of people join Masonry just because they want to become a Knight Templar. Yeah. A lot of people join Freemasonry just because they want to be a Shriner. A lot of people join Freemasonry to be a Scottish Rite. And I'm sorry, Scottish Rite, they got the best gig in town. You can take your 4th and your 32nd, and you're considered a 32nd. And then they give you a book and a passport, and you can go back through and see the degrees that you didn't get. But at least you're being bestowed the title of a 32nd within, 3 months? 2 months? Imagine if you had to go through each freaking degree, one by one, all the way up to 32. Do you know how many people would get to degree 6 and be like, fuck this, I'm out?
Yeah, but it depends on what constitutes a member too, right? So you could be like, well, you take the first 4 degrees and you're a full member. Or you take the 4th and the 32nd and you're a full member. Here, sign your dues card. Now you're paying dues.
Maybe I'm giving too much information, but I'll say on the York Rite side, not one degree, to my knowledge, correct me if I'm wrong, played off the next. So it's not like Blue Lodge where, EA, Fellowcraft. Well,
they did.
EA builds off of Fellowcraft, or how am I saying this backwards? Like EA turns into Fellowcraft.
Yeah.
Fellowcraft builds to Master Mason.
Yeah. The story arc kind of is the same throughout those 3 degrees.
Okay, so I would have to say
the first York Rite degree builds off of
the Master Mason.
The Master Mason.
Yep. And then the next one, but so chapter does this.
But then it's a weird kind of arc because it's not linear in time. It's
then council, which is the next 4 degrees, they backtrack a couple.
Yeah, they go back to
the
Testament, yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because realistically, it was a separate body at one point and not part of the York Rite. So you backtrack a little bit and you start over where all of a sudden somebody's back alive again. You're like, what kind of dimension did I just walk into, right? And then you jump to commandery, which got nothing to do with the horse. So my question is, in Dovani's case, where he's talking about, they tried to circumvent, if you will, Blue Lodge Masonry. I kind of understand that because why the hell why should I have to climb the ladder through these other degrees that don't play off the others to become a commandery? In my personal opinion, commandery should be its own separate thing.
It was at one point.
Keep chapter and council in the York Rite, and commandery should be its own thing because realistically, ain't got shit to do with the other 2 lower ones.
I thought commandery of Knights Templar was separate from the other York Rite bodies at one point in time. Was it? I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought it was.
That's just my opinion. But if you want to become I
know Mark Master Mason was a separate degree at one point.
So while we're answering questions, we'll just say it is quite a long process to get up to Knights Templar. Scottish Rite, not so much.
That's even what your aspiration was. I mean, when I joined Masonry, I wasn't like, I want to get to the top of some other appendant body. Like, I was happy just being a Mason. That's what I wanted to do. That said, there are a lot of people that I know of that joined to become a Shriner or joined to become a Knight Templar, and that's okay because those bodies need membership too. But I think it's important that.
So you didn't join Freemasonry to go into a pending body.
No.
You just wanted to be the bottom ones.
Not at all.
So what happened?
Well, bottom ones.
Were you at Lodge one day with that sweater and they started beating the shit out of you in the back alley and they were like, join this body?
No. You know what? I don't know if they were being honest at the time, but some brothers definitely have complimented me on this sweater.
Were they under the age of 70?
No comment.
James O'Vaney, York Rite bounces around the timeline. Yes, they do. It builds off the Master Mason chapter.
But I kind of like that aspect of it. I don't think that everything has to be linear in Freemasonry.
I think, and I agree. I think that if you're going to do that, they need to combine chapter. I mean, especially with the membership loss, combine chapter and council into one body. Where you're only paying for. Think about it. How many?
Speaking of controversy, we're getting into dangerous topics.
I don't care because realistically, keep trying to keep chapters and councils open that have the same three members or four members showing up every meeting. No, most people aspire to be if you're going to take the York Rite direction, most people aspire to be a Knight Templar, right? Would you say that's like the end of the road? That's what they're looking at.
Yeah, I would say
no one's going to be like, I just want to be a council member, and that's it.
Your top 80% are probably shooting to become.
So that's what they're shooting to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
but here's the thing, right? Here's the beauty of that construct. People are like, oh, what about chapter and council? Like nobody cares, but yes, they do. They have to because you can't become a Knight Templar unless you have a well-stocked, well-run. Group of officers in chapter and council.
Flip side of that, though, you burn people out when you make it, where I have to pay $55 for chapter, $55 for council, $55 for
maybe. Commander. But you know what? I knew that going in. I knew I was going to go all the way up through Knights Templar, and I knew what it was going to take to do that. There might be some brothers who are like, you know what? Not worth it. The juice ain't worth the squeeze. But everybody else is going to say, you know what? This is what every other brother had to go through in order to, get to that level. That's what I want to do.
Right. Flip side of it, though, look what the Scottish Rite did. They took Lodge Perfection, Princes of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. They took Rose Croix,
yep.
and Consistory, combined it into one Scottish Rite. You pay your 32 dues for the entirety of the thing.
Okay.
And that's it.
Oh, so it's one body from a business standpoint.
Keep your separate one body from business standpoint.
Yeah,
where you're not
destroying
me for, X amount of dues every single year. And on top of that, what you also do is now, like, there's certain degrees, let's be real, there's degrees that are skipped over in York Rite. There's one degree in particular, which I make fun of every single time I
hear it. Skipped over?
It gets skipped over. At least I skipped over it.
Oh, the super excellent master?
Super duper excellent master, or whatever that was called.
I went through that degree. That was actually a great degree.
I went through it too, but realistically, it's not a required
It's not required for that body. Yes.
Okay. So then why don't you do that you pick out your, like Scottish Rite did. I think it was like 4th, 16th, 18th, 32nd.
Make it an honorary degree or something?
No. I'm saying those were the required ones to become a 32nd. When I went through, I don't even know what it is now. I think it's just 4th and 32nd. But why can't you do that with the same exact model as Scottish Rite for the York Rite? You've done one thing. You fast track somebody to get to what they aspire to, which is the Knights Templar, right? You don't have to take the Knights Templar degree, but now you can go back and be like, because everybody in the Scottish Rite goes back and is like, I got to fill up my passport.
Right.
Everybody wants to get their passport filled up and see all the degrees. Why can't you do that in York Rite? I don't know why they. I
think it's because they're participatory degrees, right? So you have to have degree teams on standby to perform all these degrees that are not required, so people can fill up their passport, right? Whereas Scottish Rite, you can sit and watch can't you watch a video? You don't even have to go to a Scottish Rite amphitheater thing and see the degree performed. I could have sworn somebody told me that you can watch them on video. I'm sorry, I'm not a Scottish Rite Mason.
So some of them, yes, are virtual.
Right. So, I mean, you can't do that with York Rite degrees. without like changing everything.
Why the hell not? You ever seen a Master Mason degree done with an exemplar?
Okay.
How many degrees have you sat through where there was an exemplar?
Right, but they're not designed that way. They're not designed for you to watch.
They're not designed for you to watch.
They can be changed so that you're watching somebody else go through it. Sure, but that's not what the degrees are.
What's the difference of the festivals? What's the difference between a Masonic festival and watching it virtually?
We've already talked about degree festivals and how we may
I don't think
100% agree with them.
I don't agree with them.
Right.
But I would say that the first 3 degrees, in my personal opinion, need to be done in person.
Right.
The appending bodies are appending bodies.
Yeah, Scottish Rite. I mean, there are, as far as I know, there was never a time where Scottish Rite degrees were participatory. Maybe back in the very, very early days when, you know, the numbers were booming post World War II or something like that. But historically, everybody knows, hey, I'm going and I'm watching somebody. I'm watching this as a play, or I'm watching this as a video or something like that. And that's the way it's been. It's never been that way with Blue Lodge.
Right.
It's never been that way. Those degrees are not designed in York Rite to sit there and watch an exemplar go through them. They're designed for you.
Agreed.
The message is more powerful when you are watching it.
I agreed. I would absolutely 100% agree with that. There's nothing saying that you can't show up and go through it.
I just wouldn't want to.
I'm not saying go virtual.
I wouldn't want to do that to somebody.
I'm not saying York Rite should go virtual by any means, shape, or form. That's not what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. What I am saying, though, is what is the problem with picking out degrees of the York Rite, which should be required, and then giving them a little book or something, and saying, hey, you have to go, you know, in order to go, you don't give them voting rights in each one of the bodies, you know, don't until they see all the degrees, something like that. They can't be an officer in any of the bodies until they see all the degrees. But giving them the option to go back at their leisure time to fill out things. I mean,
I don't know. At that point,
just thinking of, and again, I'm just thinking of like different ways to shake up Freemasonry.
Yeah,
you know, it's like you have to renew it sometimes.
At that point, I don't
renew it.
I just don't see how that would be any different than just taking whatever the first degree is in the body and then not progressing. You know what I mean? Because if there was only one in chapter and one in council and one in commandery that are required, and you can't be a full member until you go back and take the other ones, what's the difference between just taking the first chapter degree and then deciding you don't want to do it anymore? Like you're not a member, can't be an officer.
Right. Because understand, a lot of people want to get to the Knights Templar. That's what their aspiration is.
So they just want to be able to take one order of...
I'm not saying take one order. I'm saying take a few degrees of each chapter
and then go and do the three orders.
Go and do the three, you know, and then go doing the three orders of commandery, and then you become a commandery, right? Then you become a Knights Templar. Now at your leisure, you can go like Scottish Rite. You can go back and take them again. And I'm just thinking of it for the York Rite because I know there's a loss in membership.
Yeah.
There's York Rite's hurting bad. I think Scottish Rite's doing okay. I mean, granted, this is before COVID.
Yeah.
But you know, sometimes you gotta shake the tree to get the fruit. Sometimes you gotta shake the dust off the sweater to make it look new again.
Okay.
I just make it up.
That's quite enough. I get the point.
Though, like, so that's where I'm looking at from that point of view. Is you know, if something isn't working, and again, I'm picking on York Rite. I am a York Rite Mason. I'm a Knight Templar. Yep. I'm more active in York Rite than I am Scottish Rite. But this is just my opinion. Like, you need to shake shit up sometimes. If something ain't working, you gotta fix it.
Yeah. I mean, I'd love to see the data. I'll reserve judgment until I see the data on how Scottish Rite, when they made that change, how it affected their membership. And if it did in a positive way, then yeah, maybe it's something that York Rite bodies should at least consider.
Scott Blanchard, Knights Templar Commandery 33, Battle Creek Mission. I love the name of that town. I want to live there.
Battle Creek.
Just Battle Creek. Just running around with a freaking Kevlar all day. A freaking LBV vest. Battle Creek.
It sounds what they do badass. Yeah, it sounds cool, but I don't think there's too many people running around in Battle Creek with plate carriers on. Scott, you can let us know.
Let's see here. James Levaney. York Rite was absolutely a better experience in degrees compared to Scottish Rite, in my opinion. Yeah, mine as well. I liked, again, I'm not taking a shit on the Scottish Rite, just making a point that I enjoyed the participation.
Participatory.
There you go. Of the degrees. It's all right. I make fun of your sweater. You can make fun of the way I talk.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a nice guy though.
I like the participation factor of it. Oh, I will say though, there were some Scottish Rite degrees that were pretty freaking cool. They were definitely.
You can do neat things when you don't have a candidate that you have to kind of walk through things, because again, when you have to do a degree where a candidate is coming in completely unaware of what's going on, like they're still part of that degree, so there's a lot of guidance that has to happen there. Whereas if you're just doing a play, it's like you have it's like doing an actual play or making a movie or something like that, writing a screenplay. You have a lot more creative freedom, I think, when you're doing it that way.
Scott Blanchard, as a nurse, I would like to join the shrine one day. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Jim Delaney, Scottish Rite has been doing online degrees for months due to COVID. Yeah, that's one positive of it.
Yeah.
As you can, because I'm sorry, me and another brother, and I love him to death. Good friend of mine, good brother, good Knight Templar. He was the past Grand Commander of Knights Templar who appointed me or recommended me for the line. Actually, no, he appointed me as the Grand Sentinel. Paul Cello, me and him were talking today on the phone, and one of the things we were talking about is he was quite pissed off that many of these Masonic bodies are pulling a Ray Liotta and Goodfellas. F you, pay me. F you, pay me.
Yeah.
In regards to dues.
F you, pay me.
In regards to dues, and he had said that they're basically, even though everybody's in a financial crisis, these we're supposed to be brotherly love and truth. And this isn't just him talking. This was both of us back and forth talking. We're supposed to be the fraternity of brotherly love and truth. But if you don't give me my blood money, what the hell's that all about? Like, Grand Lodges just want their freaking assessment, which is shit. So I had said, basically, I don't think that Masonry or lodges should be charging brothers dues if they're not giving them something in return. So Scottish Rite is absolutely 1,000%, in my opinion, correct by, if you're not allowing us to show up in person and practice as Scottish Rite Masons, you need to find a way to do that if you're going to still continuous charging us money.
Well, we've been over this on our COVID episode, or
Covington, Louisiana. That's who's calling me. Should I answer it? Do you want to play a game?
On the air?
On the air. Should we answer it?
It's dangerous.
We should try it.
Do it.
All right. Hello?
Oh, thank God it's dead air. Oh, God. Oop.
God. I was about to make somebody famous. I was about to make a telemarketer famous.
It sounds like they're really trying to reach you about your vehicle's warranty. You should probably answer that.
That would have been fun.
That would have been great.
I was trying. Sorry, guys.
Maybe not.
But I think that if lodges are going to charge people, hey, you got to pay your dues this year, you better find a way to make it worth my while to pay my dues.
We've talked about this. In my opinion,
yes, I get it's for charity. I get it's for charity.
No, it's not necessarily about that. It's the fact that lodges still have operating expenses, even during these dark times where we may not be meeting actively, right? So, Grand Lodge is still asking for assessments. The lodges have no way of saying no to that. Like, they have to pay those. That per capita has to be Grand Lodge.
Do they?
They do.
I'm kidding.
Yeah, if they don't want to be revolutionaries, yes, they have to. And then obviously, there's still a lot of lodges are still either paying rent or directly paying utilities to keep their buildings up and running. So there are operating expenses that just aren't going away, right? In some cases, you can get deferments and stuff like that for certain things because of COVID. But in most cases, you still have to pay those things. And if the lodge still has to pay them, then yeah. And you as a Mason, you signed up and said, yes, I know I have to pay dues, without expecting the lodge to say, oh, there's extenuating circumstances where you don't have to pay dues, and depending on that. But the converse to that is, me as a Mason, I know that if I am in financial peril, whether it be due to COVID, due to something that everybody else is going through, or just something personal to me, I can call my lodge secretary, I can call the master, I can call one of the senior officers and say, look, guys, I'm really in a bad spot right now. Can we make some sort of arrangement?
Okay.
And that's incumbent on me as a Mason. I know that that's my duty.
Okay. But if you're a Mason, and we're all Masons, we're all brothers, and you're a Mason at the top, if you will,
okay,
can't you make some sort of a decision of like, hey, listen, we got Masons who are in a little bit of trouble. We know that there's a pandemic going on. Lodges are having no brothers show up. Probably going to be losing brothers because they're going to be like, the hell with this. I don't even want to come back anymore because I've been on a lodge for, I mean, let's say again, complacency. It happens where it's just like, I haven't been to lodge in 4 months. I just don't feel like
there might
anymore.
Be some attrition as a result.
Right. So you're going to lose, you could potentially lose members there.
Yeah.
But if you give something back, I mean, again, me at the top, just saying, would be like, hey, I know that lodges still have to pay their dues, but I mean, is there any way rather than charging an assessment, we can only charge half that assessment?
Dig it. And yes, he absolutely could do that, but
why the hell aren't we there?
Hold on, man. Grand Lodge has bills to pay too. You think they're charging assessments like per capita just for like ha-has?
Yes.
That's because you don't pay attention at the freaking annual communication, bro.
What are you talking?
You don't watch the Grand Secretary's report or the Grand Treasurer's report? Look, dude, they got freaking operating expenses too.
I know that.
So
you also have trustees too, just like we do.
Could they? Well, yes.
Could you subsidize?
They have endowments and stuff. But look, there are also trustees that are responsible for making sure that they're not, cutting into the principal on their investments. So, like, I get it.
And where does that investment go?
It just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, that's you're investing for
fraternity of brotherly love and truth. At some point, you got to give back to.
Yeah, but there's a line. You have to make that determination on, okay, now we need to start dipping into this. And you have a fiduciary responsibility for the future. The future,
be a douche.
Future generations of Masons. Fiduciary. Look it up.
No.
No.
Scott Blanchard, how far up the Scottish Rite do you have to go before you know the real secrets? Can you just watch a video or read Ken's pamphlet? That'd be Joe's pamphlet.
Yeah, it would have to be Joe's because I'm not Scottish Rite.
Let's see here. Scott Blanchard, it's not as cool as you think. Should probably be wearing armor. The good news is the thugs can't shoot for crap around.
He's talking about Battle Creek.
Yes, I got it. James Sylvania, that's absolutely an issue. Probably talking about we were talking about in regards to the dues. Lunatic, welcome. If a brother doesn't want to come to lodge, is he really a brother? I get being busy or having plans, but just not showing up for no reason seems lazy to me.
Well, it is your prerogative as a Mason.
Again,
you don't have to show up.
Freemasonry is a voluntary organization.
Yep.
Let's be absolutely clear. There's no requirement to be here. It's not one of those things where if you can, how many people actually freaking take the degrees and then just screw? They're gone.
Yeah, never come back at all. Yeah.
It's happened more times than not. But as long as that check keeps coming in, does it make it right? No. In my opinion, no. I mean, Masonry isn't about making sure I pay my freaking dues every goddamn year.
Yeah.
It's not to me being very Masonic. I mean, hanging out with your brothers, that's the whole point of this thing, right? It's the fellowship of it.
But Masonry also teaches us to know that others may be, like our brothers might be going through struggles that we know nothing about, right? So maybe.
And that's on a lodge to reach out, though.
Well, yeah, but also maybe they're traveling a lot for work, right? Maybe they're visiting lodges as they travel and they don't have time to come back to their own lodge, but they're still engaging in Masonry and they're still paying their dues. Does that make them a brother? Yeah. Are they living their Masonic values? Then yeah, they're a brother.
Are you saying we should just go to Joe's house right now and kick his door and check on him?
Yeah. Let's do it. I'm in. Also, Lunatic was the only person who complimented my sweater, so thank you.
Did he? Where? I got to delete that.
Yeah, scroll up. No, don't do it. Don't do it. It's the only thing keeping me here, man. I was ready to just jump out that window, but he knows that I'm dealing with struggles.
I get that, but I love being around my brothers. Yeah, absolutely. Paying
I mean,
your dues.
it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to be around.
Lunatic says I have that same sweater.
Oh, okay, that's why.
No,
you have the same
damn
fashion
it!
sense as me.
Now we have a listener who wears the same damn sweater. So you know what? Now I gotta stop picking on the freaking sweater now. So
goddamn right.
Fuck.
Yep.
All right.
How the table turns have turned.
Yes, they have. Let's see here. He says, I get that, but I love being around my brothers. And I had a point to this. Yes, I joined Freemasonry for the fellowship of it, not to take the degrees, not for any other thing like that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, to take the degrees. But how do I put this?
But what keeps you coming back is the fellowship. Yeah.
I mean, understand not everybody has that. You can't really shit on a brother for not coming back to lodge. They're still a brother. They've still taken the degrees. They've still gone through the same initiatic experience. So, I mean, you could look at the money and you know, yeah, they're paying their dues, but they're not really coming to lodge. But, you know,
it's not so much about the money. It's being a Freemason is like it's a life choice, right? Like it's the way that you conduct yourself,
right?
So out in the world. So if you're living those values when you're out in the world, and you're, I mean, obviously paying your dues, but that's not like a money thing so much as a systematic. Like that's how I keep my dues card that says I'm a Mason, so I can show up in a lodge. But it's more important to me that you're living the Masonic values. I could give a crap less whether you show up at lodge all the time if you're a D-bag when you're out in the world. I consider a brother someone who lives those values, and even if they never show up at lodge and they never break bread with me, if they're living those values out in the world and they're representing the fraternity well, that's more important to me.
Fair enough. I would agree.
Also, I've had a little bit of this moonshine stuff that you've fed me. So
really?
I'm feeling a little profound right now. So
really?
You know, take whatever I just said with a grain of salt. I'm getting a little heated.
No, you did pretty good. I'm not going to lie. It's good shit, though, huh?
It's pretty good, yeah. It's a little bit too sweet.
It is sweet. You're going to pay for it tomorrow morning with a freaking massive headache, or you're going to go home and drink a gallon of water.
Is this what gave you like the GI tract problem like the last 2 weeks? Was drinking this crap?
No, it probably would have cleaned it out actually much quicker, to be honest with you.
Definitely disinfecting.
Yeah, no, this stuff is like drinking straight hand sanitizer.
Yeah,
just with a apple pie flavor.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, so, getting back onto that though, I mean, I know a lot of people look down on that though, because I'll tell you what, this is what'll piss me off more than anything. If you're a Mason who pays their dues but doesn't show up to lodge, fine. Here's what'll piss me off though: when you take an officer's position
and you never show up.
Yeah, I'll take that.
That's different because then you're not
burn my ass.
Yeah, but then
more than anything.
But then you're not living your Masonic values because you know what, you made a commitment, and now you're not following through on it.
Yes,
that will piss me off. Completely converse to what we believe in, and that's the problem. But again, if you're not taking that level of responsibility, you just want to go and go through your 3 degrees of Masonry, get your ring, and then go out and be the best possible man you can, even if you never come back to lodge.
And
totally
not for
fine with that.
Maybe you come back to lodge. Maybe you just like, hey, it's election. You want to be an officer? You want to be No, I just want to sit on the side. Yeah. No shame in that.
That's fine.
It's fine. Sit on the sideline.
If that's the level of commitment you're willing to make, then God bless. That's fine. If you only come back once every 3 years, we'll be happy to welcome you back every 3 years.
Right.
That's what Masonry is all about. I think.
Luna says, that's my point, George, not using the working tools properly. You don't have to get into specific, but are you talking about what my comment was about taking an officer's position and never showing up? Or do you mean it as in not using the working tools properly is you can come to lodge, you just choose not to.
Or not using your Masonic.
Right. My scenario, or the thing that burns my ass is when you say you're going to take an officer's position, appointed or elected, and then you're just never there. No, barring its work, barring its family, barring its kids. Because again, Masonry does not interfere with your duty to God, your country, your neighbor, yourself.
Yep.
It's the 4 major ones. So, but if it's just you who decides to take an officer's position and then you just, never mind, I didn't want it.
If you know what you're getting yourself into and you took that, because look, when you're
as
installed,
long as it's explained, though, because I've had a lot of people who've come to the line and they're like, yeah, well, I'll take the officer's position. And then when they realize they have to be there every single meeting, he's like, well, I didn't know I had to be there.
Yeah, well, that's on the
explained
lodge.
it
You know
to
what? That's on the officers. They should really do that. And you should know that before you get installed.
Correct.
Because yes, you are charged and you're taking an oath as an officer when you're installed, but you should know well in advance of that. Like, look, here are your duties as this officer.
Right.
Like, I'll walk you through the different things, even as junior steward. Like, we'll show you around the kitchen and like whatever we need to do. But here's what's expected of you. You should be here for every meeting, even if you're just junior steward.
I made that
adamantly clear for every meeting.
When I was master, I made that adamantly clear.
Yeah.
We're like
you have
you're going to be this position. Yeah. I don't care if it's the junior steward or if it's the freaking chaplain. Yep. You're going to be here, or I'm not choosing you.
And if you're not, somebody should
understood.
Right. I mean, my big thing was, if you're not going to be here, you need to make sure that somebody can cover you.
Your ass.
It shouldn't be the master's responsibility to scramble at the last minute because that sucks.
So
they've got enough to worry about.
We're already at like an hour and 20 minutes, so we might as well just do the last.
Went over.
We might as well just do the last 10. Well, it's make up for me having freaking spastic asshole syndrome on Sunday.
Okay, so fair enough. Bonus content.
We'll do an extra 10 more minutes or a half hour. But what was I just bringing up? We were talking about
before spastic asshole syndrome.
Yeah, before spastic asshole. Talking about officers. Me being.
We were talking about the fact that you expect your officers to be there.
Yeah, you will be there. Like that. I made that adamantly clear, or I'll choose somebody else. And realistically, I had a good slate of officers behind me that followed, and they were there and they participated. Again, sometimes you just can't make it. Listen,
no, it's fine. I mean,
family, and I totally get
even
that.
As an officer, your usual vocations and your family and your duty to God come first. But if you can't be there, find somebody who can.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not that hard. Have a couple guys that you can, a couple brothers you can call on and be like, look, at last minute,
absolutely,
within 8 hours notice, like, I need you to sit in my chair. Not that hard.
And minus the wardens, because you have to be a past warden or a past master to sit in one of those chairs. Yeah. But if you're the junior steward and there's a degree going on, find somebody. Call into the lodge. Like, hey, do you have the junior? Call the master of another lodge.
Even as a warden, hey, you need to be able to your network just changes. So now you need to have a past warden or a past master on speed dial in case something comes up. Like, that's just good practice. Yeah. It's just good practice. Even if you're never there, have somebody that can be there that's responsible so that the master doesn't have to scramble.
So my assumption, Luna, is you're relatively, I would say, high in the chairs. Stop me if I'm wrong, because of the way he's saying yes about the officers, and so I'm assuming he's pretty high. Maybe Luna, you could fill me in as to what chair you're taking, but I can. How should you approach this, Ken? If you are per se a master or a warden, and you have a Mason who's not being very Masonic in his chair, and ditching the lodge sometimes, maybe or maybe not at key points in the lodge, or maybe the brother just has a key chair in the lodge, just open and close. Mm-hmm. How would you deal with it
as master?
Your master.
Okay.
How would you deal with the situation that you have a brother who's just? I'll choose one for you. We'll just say it's the senior deacon.
Okay.
He's just
pivotal chair.
Pivotal chair.
Yeah. So the way that I would deal with that is...
I'll choose two chairs. We'll start with the senior deacon.
Okay.
How would you act? What would you do?
I don't think it even matters, right? If it's junior steward all the way up to senior warden, I would deal with it the same way. And the first strategy that I would take is, we always whisper good counsel, right?
Uh-huh.
So I would take that brother aside, or I would give him a call, because I have all of my officers' numbers in my phone, and I would say, look, brother, things are a little rough here, right? Like, the expectation, and you knew what the expectation was, that, if you weren't going to be in your chair, and I understand there are things going on, but the expectation is you have somebody that you can call on so that I don't have to scramble at the last minute and fill the chair. Like, it's your responsibility. You took the oath. You took, and usually, like, most brothers at that point are just going to be like, look, I'm sorry, I screwed up. Like, I've got stuff going on, blah, blah, blah. Right.
Right.
That's how Masons operate, right? And the issue is moot at that point. Everything's good. If that didn't work out, then, things would probably have to escalate because we've got a lodge to run, right? We need brothers.
How would you escalate it?
Well, I would probably say, look, we need a warden or we need a senior deacon. So I'm going to find one. So if it happens again, I'm probably going to talk to a couple past masters that I can rely on and say, look, can we have somebody, can I have you sit as senior deacon for the remainder of my term or something like that?
So you would pro tem the chair.
I would probably pro tem the chair. Yeah. I wouldn't eject the officer because
right.
I don't know, this is highly hypothetical, right? I mean, I would think that there's a good reason.
I can't see you, Ken, as a super, super nice guy. Dude walks in, he's like, hey guys, how you doing, brothers? Get out.
No, I would not do that. But by the same token, I have expectations, and if you can't live up to them, and there's no good reason why you can't live up to them, because again, I'm pretty forgiving. Like if it's family or work related, whatever, we'll pro tem the chair, and you're still the officer in that chair.
Right.
If you're a junior officer and not if you're an appointed position and not a voted position, if you keep yesing me to death and you're not being Masonic and then we're probably I'm going to appoint a new officer.
So,
but I've never been in that situation, thank God.
What I would do is I would just take his brother when he does show up at the lodge. I would take him into the anteroom and shut the doors and say, listen, we need to have a conversation.
The anteroom or in the chamber of reflection?
No, not chamber of reflection. The anteroom. It's a bigger room, right?
Yeah, it is.
And not to mention that's also where our working tools are. And I would take the common gavel and I would Nancy Kerrigan his knees. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
Sounds about right. I thought you would give him the lecture about the common gavel.
Listen, this sharpens are good. No, I'm kidding. Yeah. In all truth, I'd probably do the same exact thing you would do. You started off with, hey, what's going on? We needed you for an apprentice degree. You weren't here. Kind of left me with my dick in my hand here. What gives? And if he said, oh, yeah, my wife's sick, daughter's sick, whatever. Okay. If it happened again, so there's got to be, if it happened again, how do I put this? If it's a multiple repeat offender is where I start to be like, all right, now you're just playing me for a friggin' idiot here. So I think I probably follow the same what you did. It's like, listen, I'm going to tell you one last time. Like, we have a degree or we have an inspection or we have something going on.
Yep.
And I need you here.
Mm-hmm.
Realistically, during a regular stated meeting where nobody's there, it's just random business bullshit. You can probably fill that chair.
Yeah, but still,
it's still not right. Don't get me wrong.
You pay that tab, but you keep the receipt, right? So that's still one strike against you.
Absolutely,
even if it's a simple thing.
No, totally agree. But I'm just saying it's more pivotal when there's actually something going on and they freaking burn you.
Yep.
Does it happen? Sure.
Yeah,
it happens quite frequently.
It could lead up to something.
I'll tell you what, though. You will not have that vote for junior warden come next year, and I will make it adamantly known on why I'm not voting for you. So, there's no politicking in the lodge, but I will express my discontent for your actions. Be aware of that. It all comes back around toward the end of the year. But I will just say that, if I wouldn't go to the extent if on a stated meeting for me, I would just be like, whatever, hey, Mike, go sit there, or whoever, go sit there. And I would just let it go. If it's actually at a pivotal time where I need you and you tell me, first off, it's your chair. You don't need to tell me you're going to be there. Your ass better be there. It's a degree. It's an inspection, whatever the case may be. Right.
But your job as a master is also to support your officers, right? So if
and that's
first
fine.
of all, you probably wouldn't have been appointed an officer. I mean, if you're a junior steward, if you're any of the officers that were appointed, you were appointed by the master. But again, you probably wouldn't be in that chair if you weren't reliable. And if you're not being reliable, my first assumption is going to be something's up with you that I can help you out with. What is it?
Here's my thing.
Right. It's
if
not
you just come to me and say, listen, I bit off more than I can chew.
Yeah. Or you come to
this. I can't. If you come to me ahead of time and tell me this, all forgiven, all forgotten, everything's freaking cool. Yeah. You know what? I will make it work because I'm the master. That's what I need to do. It's my job.
We're all men, and that's a difficult thing.
If you come to me ahead of time, that's fine. But if you keep sticking it in my caboose every single time I'm relying on you and expecting you to be there, and you screw me,
but you know
that will start to really burn my ass.
We always say, hey, if you're in a difficult spot, you should always come to us. But turn things around, right? Is it easy for you to do that? Is it easy for you to ask for help when you're in trouble? Like, it's never been easy for me. I'm guessing it's probably a difficult thing for most men. So me as the master, my first assumption is going to be, okay, like, what's going on? Is there something that I can help you out with? It's not, it's not that there's some personal grudge against you.
Speak of wrongs, I have to correct.
Okay, what?
James Delvaney said, all hail Randy. But Randy Boone, who just signed on, said, good evening, Freemasons Podcast, Fantasy Football Grand Champion.
God. Is that you?
That is me.
I haven't even been paying attention. I know I'm 7th place.
So, Delvaney, eat your heart out. I am the victor.
Yeah. Well, good luck. God bless. You had a good run. You got slapped around there around mid-season too. That was when I was doing well.
And then I almost freaking lost again because I was out of quarterback, so my quarterback kept getting hurt. Anyway, Randy Boone, how about when someone attends another lodge instead of their rehearsal?
Wow. Oh, I mean, that's a tough one. It doesn't really mean
I will literally be like, the text or that call coming through, like it'll be like Burrell, be like, hey, Tom Brewer's here. He's at our meeting. Be like, that son of a bitch. That will probably. Hey, hold on, though. It depends on what. Okay, so
there's a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot to that. Can I unpack it first?
Yeah, go
if
for
I
it.
may. All right, and then we're going to sign off because it's.
I don't get to.
No, I'm saying like after we finish this question, we're going to sign off for the.
Dig it.
Okay, he says when their lodge is in disarray. All right, so let me unpack this first. Okay, if Joe, I'll use Joe as an example. Okay.
Oh, okay, because he's not here to defend himself.
No. Actually, giving props here.
Okay.
Joe is doing we have a fellow craft degree. Mm-hmm. Joe is the senior deacon and has to do the middle chamber.
Mm-hmm.
Do I expect Joe there on our rehearsal night if it falls on Ashlar Aspinall?
Depends on
no,
because he knows that ritual.
I know he knows that part. He's done it before. He's done it 1,000 times. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to sound like a ego. I'm not trying to sound like I have an ego, but I know my ritual. You can put me in any chair in that lodge and I snap and I know the position. I know you're the same way. You don't with minimal. Maybe you need a little brush up on the book, but you can sit in any chair in that lodge, in your lodge, in our lodge, and do that part. Not a problem.
I could, but I still show up to the rehearsals because I'm modeling that behavior to my brothers.
But if you had another obligation that same night,
I would let everybody know. But yes, I probably would be okay as long as I know that I knew my part. Yes.
James Delvaney, Little Man 1 thinks it's soccer. Says the guy who came in 4th place. Moving on.
Stay on target.
But what was I going to say?
Exactly.
So it all depends on the person. If it's a guy who's done that position 1,000 billion times and knows it by heart, because some lodges do casts. They don't actually do lodge. They do casts for a degree. Mm-hmm. And
degree teams.
We could debate that another time.
Yeah.
Degree team. Maybe we'll do that next time. Degree team versus cast. Pros and cons.
Okay. Like it.
But if it's a guy who's done that position 1,000 times, no. To me, I don't care if he shows up. Because it's like, you know what? I know he's going to be there. I know he's got the part. I don't need him to be at the rehearsal. The people who need to go to rehearsals are the people who have never done the part before or are rusty on it and need the help.
Yeah.
And in that case, you should have your ritual coach or somebody who knows what the hell they're doing there with the guys, helping them, walking them, teaching the floor work.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if it's a guy who is like the junior steward who is going to be conducting a candidate around, but he's attending another stated meeting during the rehearsal, but you know he doesn't know what the hell he's got to do. Yeah, that'll probably burn my ass a little bit.
I mean, from my standpoint, you're a man and you're a Mason, right? We're supposed to be men of our word.
Right.
If you say that you know your part or even if you don't tell me personally that you know your part, I'm going to assume that if you're at another lodge instead of at rehearsal, you know your part. You don't need any help, or you're rehearsing with other brothers in a lodge of instruction or outside of the lodge or whatever, and you just, would rather be at that lodge for good reasons than be at my rehearsal.
Yeah, again,
I'm fine with that.
Yeah,
I'm always going to assume that, I'm not going to assume the worst.
No,
when something like that.
no, you
now,
really
if it shows up or doesn't show up at all to the actual degree.
Yeah, that'll piss me off.
That's different. But I'm not going to, my job isn't to second guess people. We're all Masons.
Right.
We shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, it also depends on what the other lodge is doing. If the other lodge is doing like some sort of a program or something like that,
or you're filling in. You're filling in because they don't have enough officers to open or something like.
No, I don't care about that. But the only thing I'll say to you is it's great that you're at the other lodge. But if we have a degree tomorrow, make sure you know your shit.
Right, that's part of your personal responsibilities.
You got this
as a Mason. So yeah.
But what do you say, Mr. Ken?
Yeah,
you had enough of the shine.
This was fun, man.
This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't have as many ball busting, gems for you as you had for me.
It's usually it's usually time bombs over here. He's the one who drops the freaking.
Yeah, I know.
He drops the joke and then just lets it sit there. And
yeah, I know. And then
it's
you go back
burns, and then you go back and I'm sitting there editing
the episode, and you're like,
I'm editing the episode. And I'm like, that son of a bitch.
I try to drop those in every once in a while too, but. It's not my forte.
Anyway, we are going to be silent probably until Sunday because
probably, yeah. I mean, what are you doing for New Year's Eve? You got anything planned?
My kiddos.
Yeah,
I got my babies. That's it.
Cool.
Got my kids. It's New Year's Eve.
Chinese food and hunt for Red October.
Yes, it sounds like a great plan.
Right. That's my plan. That's right. Let them sing.
Actually, my kids have been really hard up on The Purge recently.
Like the movie,
not the littles. Yeah, the movie The Purge. Like they watch The Purge. They watch Purge Anarchy. We're going to be watching Purge Election Year next.
Is that where like you're talking about like the Purge? Like it's an adult movie, right?
Yeah.
Your kids watch it?
Yes.
Yeah.
The older ones.
Okay.
They're 11 and 14.
Oh no, I thought you meant like all your kids. Like
no, God Christ! You think I got the 3-year-old? Not because it would freaking bother him. I'm just worried about he'd be trying to reenact it.
Yeah, exactly. You have his little Mad Max costume.
Lunatic, I'm going to send you all some Tennessee moonshine. Please do.
Yeah, this is...
I love my shine.
I don't know where this is made. I think it's made in Tennessee, though.
Kentucky.
Is it?
Yeah, watch it's like Detroit, Michigan. That'll piss me the fuck off.
North Carolina.
North Kakalafka.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Created in Madison, North Carolina. Yeah.
The reason why I call it North Kakalafka is because when I was in boot camp, when I was in the Camp Lejeune or North Carolina, that's where we were.
That's not what they're called, boot camp.
No, Parris Island. That was a swamp.
Parris Island is okay. Right.
But in Camp Lejeune, like where it is Jacksonville, North Carolina, it is literally flat.
Okay.
Flat as hell. So it looks like an African plain.
Oh.
So we called it jokingly North Kakalafka, me and a couple of Marines, because it's literally just flat with like one tree randomly.
Interesting.
Anyway, it's stupid knowledge. I don't know. You're all dumber for knowing that now.
Yeah, I don't quite know what to do with that.
Anyway, yeah, I think that'd be a good episode. Don't let me forget that though. The difference between
what? Ritual cast versus
actually allowing the officers to sit in their chairs and do the degrees.
Yep,
that'd be a good one.
That would be a good one. I've got some opinions on that one.
My phone's blowing up, which means it's time to go. So,
very good.
For the Freemasons podcast, I am Right Worshipful Brother George Marjorie signing off.
And I'm Worshipful Brother Ken signing off.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for joining us.
And we're going to shut down YouTube. Thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pleasure.
Brothers and friends.
Good night.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Oh, my ears are stuck to these things.